Oh, he's a weird guy, isn't he?
He's a weird guy, isn't he?
Hello, friends, and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily cringe content anywhere on the internet. Promise, swearsies, it's just a fact, and it's totally science. Go ahead and look it up. Today we're jumping into r/slash Tales of Neckbeards. Legitimately today, I've decided to veer away from my personal subreddit r/slash ReddX reads for just a little bit and see if we can find an OP that I don't want to rip to shreds. So far for the past 2 days, the experiment has been an absolute failure, but maybe today we'll get lucky. We'll find an OP who I'm like, hey, this person seems like they got their heads on straight. They're talking about a beard and not being unfair towards them, but I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm sick. Maybe it's because I don't feel at the top of my game that I'm not being as generous towards these OPs as I usually am, but people don't seem to mind, all things considered. It's actually kind of hilarious how much the comment section loves it when I go after OP. Not too much, you know what I mean? People don't want me to harp on it like to an excessive degree, but just a little friendly ribbing. There ain't nothing wrong with that, right? It's ribbed for their pleasure. God damn it. All right, so we're going to see what we got here today. We'll get some plugs and disclaimers out of the way, and then we will dive right into some Tales of Neckbeards cringe. The Long Tale of Shorts. That's funny. Part 1, 2012 to 2013. The Calm Before the Beard. And part 2 is actually up. And this was written 21 hours ago. So OP's been putting in work. I'm going to go ahead and get this series started up. And we will just hope beyond hope that it is not another dumpster fire. I was debating on whether or not I should post my experience. But after some laughs and convincing from my boyfriend, I finally figured it was time to tell it. The story may start off a bit slow, but I can promise you that it gets weirder, worse, and downright uncomfortable. Great. Everything that you'd expect from a story like this, especially from a family of really weird dudes. Beard family, here we go. This story spans over the course of 8 years, so there is a lot to exposit. Without any further ado, let's jump right into it. 2012. This was a weekend after we had taken my mom to the ER on Valentine's Day evening. Oof. I was 16 years old. My mom had been dealing with a whole bunch of health problems at the time, and I was a pretty lonely kid. I didn't really have a lot of people to talk to, and things were going so downhill that I didn't really want to talk to anyone. I was not in the mood for it that weekend, and neither was the rest of my family, given everything that had happened. So instead, I decided to just drastically change my look for a day, thinking that a change might help to distract me from things. For context, I have super curly hair, and I decided to straighten it. It worked for a while, and it did feel nice. I mean, if it helps, it helps. Whatever works, I guess. But you need to get down to the root of the matter. You should talk to a therapist if you feel the need to. Although if it's, just a case of you not wanting to talk to new people, I get that too. What I didn't realize at the time was that there was a new family in our church. They had 3 boys that were somewhat close in age to me. I sang in choir, which was located way in the back of the room, so I was in my element, unnoticed and happy about it. Yeah, I kind of identify with you, OP. Not necessarily for the same reasons, but I do like to keep it low-key for the most part. Well, after services were over, the middle sibling approached me. For the rest of this story, we will call him Shorts, which will make sense later on in the story. Did he wear shorts a lot? Is it Youngsta Joey? I like shorts. They're comfy and easy to wear. Shorts came up to me and said, Hey, I just wanted to say that you look really nice. And I like your hair. It looks nice. He didn't seem very neckbeardish, at least at the time. Boy howdy would that change. He just seemed like a genuinely nice, if shy, 15-year-old kid. A bit on the short side, but who cares? I wasn't really sure how to take the compliment since it was just so out of left field from a stranger that I had never met after such a weird week that I was having, so I just responded with an awkward, "Oh, thank you." We left soon after. Overall, a seemingly uneventful fluke. That is the proper response to a compliment. You did fine there, OP. Thank you, instead of like, no, it doesn't. Well, okay. As the weeks went on, my family got to know their family. Their dad at the time, we'll call him Briefs, which is fitting seeing how long his relationships lasted. I keep thinking of like actual clothing garments, shorts and briefs. Is this a theme that we're going for? I kind of like it. He had just married their stepmom and they seemed really happy together. The boys seemed very indifferent, however. They started coming to our church because the stepmom was Orthodox Christian and our tiny church was one of the only Orthodox Christian churches in the community. Well, the older and younger kid were mingling with the other people just fine, all except for Shorts. Oh, that middle child syndrome, man. This went on for a few weeks. It looked kind of pitiful, and my friend and I just wanted to help him feel included, so we went over and introduced ourselves. We started talking about school for a while. For context, I was homeschooled. I know, my life sucked. My parents were super conservative and weird about it. And we also talked about books and movies that we liked. Small things. As an aside, I don't know if homeschooling is all that terrible. I mean, you don't have to worry about getting shot going to school, right? That's pretty dark, though. Society has a problem. But I ain't here to fix shit. I'm here to laugh at neckbeards. Short started talking about how he wanted to get into marine biology. Fun stuff. Then it started getting weird. He started doing these weird long pauses, which I guess were meant to be longing looks. Then he proceeded to occasionally throw compliments at me in random places in the conversation. My friend started noticing too, but didn't say anything. I'm assuming that she thought that I was into it. To be fair, I didn't have anyone at the time, so that was a fair assumption. Well, these interactions went on for several months. Oh boy, isn't this how most abusive relationships start? Like they drown you in compliments, so you'll be scared that they'll run and take their compliments away at some point. I mean, I'm a neckbeard scientist, not a relationship abuse scientist, but I'm pretty sure I've read something like that before. Later on in the year, the weirdness about Shorts was something that I thought I could ignore, and I started finding at least some interest in him. However, this is when he would start pulling back. A lot. Like, not talking to me at all. Yeah, he playing the game. I don't know if he knows he playing the game, but he playing the game. Then whenever I got tired of it, he would just lay it on really thick again. It was downright annoying, and I hated it. So I just kind of gave up and moved on. We still remain friends, though, but our conversations always seemed really circular. I never got to know much about him at all, not even his hobbies. It almost felt like he wanted to know more about me first. It was a weird friendship, to say the least. So you say, yeah, I like to collect rock band instrument sets, and he's like, yeah, me too. That's awesome. I think Rock Band was big in 2012. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. 2013. Now this is where shit starts getting really weird. I was now 17, and my mom was still dealing with health issues. What are these health issues? I don't want to pry. Don't tell me. I'm sorry to hear it, OP. I hope she's better now. We were finding help for her, so it seemed less intimidating. I started trying to do more for myself. We had a new girl join the church. We'll call her Amy. Amy just started her freshman year of university. We bonded very quickly and had a lot of similar interests and hobbies. Well, I guess Shorts started getting jealous of the amount of time that we were spending together because that's when he tried to lay it on thick again. Amy immediately caught weird vibes from Shorts too. I think at one point she even said so to me. I knew, and I agreed, and told her a bit about our weird friendship. Well, months later, he started getting up in my business again in a very weird way. When I was at home, I was very much a punk/gothish tomboy. I wasn't sure what I was doing with my style, so I just kind of wore whatever felt right. My parents did not like this. It made me promise to dress proper at church in all the girlish frills, so I did. Well, one day while I was getting dressed in this cute red floral dress, I was having a conversation with Shorts, and he started getting a little too close into my personal space. Out of nowhere, mid-conversation, he said, I really like your look. You look like a 1940s chick, and it's hot. Just call me Pearl or Gretchen. That's what you're into? 1940s chicks? God damn, why are the trad guys always the weirdest ones, man? I have met some respectable traditional dudes, but those are the ones that don't tend to make a spectacle of it. I burst out laughing because of how ridiculous and out of left field that statement was. I thought he was saying it as a joke. He was not. He looked at me dead serious. I then got serious too and asked, why? Knowing exactly what the answer would be verbatim. He said, oh, well, that's what women knew how to be women. They knew how to be classy. Plus, your figure is so ideal and petite. And there it was. My first 2 red flags for the price of 1. For context, I was very slim, underweight actually, and putting on weight was something that I physically struggled with. So I was just hit with both this weird sexism and this strange idolizing of a body that needed actual help. So you're into me because of this weird fantasy ideal that I present at church? Because I'm going to tell you right now, how I present myself here is how people here expect me to dress. I do so out of respect for the place, but this is not who I am at home, and this body isn't something to be idealized, I said. I was pretty angry, to put it nicely. I mean, that seems succinct, not too much anger in there. That's just honest. What? What do you want? Oh, well, I like it though. Okay, creep. Whatever, Short said. Amy came and brought me to her table after that. I must have subconsciously had the, oh fuck, what the fuck is happening eyes. Either way, she definitely saved my ass. Things kept getting really weird from there. He would then proceed to ask me to prom, which I refused, and his first response was to go behind my back to ask my parents about it, as if my no meant nothing. Well, that's just how it was back in the 40s, OP. You gotta understand, you gotta wine and dine the parents, right? Maybe this guy's like a time traveler or some shit. That would be hilarious. My parents would also get progressively pushy about getting me with him due to how much he talked himself up. Oh, that's probably the creepiest part of all. Parents trying to shove their daughter off on some weirdo. Bruh. Allow your children to have relationships. Do not force them into them. Shorts found any and every available opportunity to manipulate them anytime that I refused anything. About 2 weeks later, our priest came up to me and said, I don't think you should wear that dress anymore. It's getting a lot of attention, if you know what I mean. The priest? Your ass and legs look great in those shorts. Please never wear them again. I've never had a problem with that dress at that church with literally anyone except for Shorts. And now my dress was banned. Okay. I had another one that was similar, but in a pale green color instead. Very harmless. Well, that dress got banned too for exactly the same reason. Shorts. Apparently, he and his younger brother were telling our priest that he was going nuts over those outfits. It started happening more and more with other seemingly tame dresses I wore and even makeup. Bro, priest gonna tell you if you can wear makeup or not? Alright, I'm out. I appreciate what you're doing here, but I don't think I could be a part of it. My life was now being indirectly controlled by Shorts. I'm sure he loved that. He would even complain about me wearing any kind of heels because it made me taller than him. It was fucking insane. What did he expect at the end of the day? Like, you're gonna run out of dresses and go to church naked? No, you're just gonna end up wearing pants. But maybe it's not about glimpsing the skin. I think this is like more of a control issue than anything else. But yeah, it is weird. Later on, his older brother invited me to his high school graduation party at their house. We'll call him John. Unlike Shorts, John was thankfully a really chill dude. Out of everyone in that family, John was actually the most normal person. Conversations with him just flowed naturally. And we even had a lot of interests in common. There were no weird moments, no weird feelings. Just a normal, platonic friendship. So, when he invited my family to his high school graduation party at his place, I was down. John was cool, and their stepmom, we'll call her Margaret, after Margaret in MASH. This will make sense too, trust me. I don't watch a lot of MASH. I watched a few episodes. I don't remember who Margaret is, though. But the mom was super stern, but also seemed super nice once you actually got to know her. So I went to the party with my dad and my brother. I had barely even knocked on the door when Shorts jumped off the couch and opened the door with almost every greeting short of "Milady, hi, hello, welcome, please come in, we're so happy to have you, John tried his best to relieve this awkward tension that his brother had just created. When John's friends and Short's friends showed up, they greeted each other. Shorts then pointed to me and said, "This is a girl I was telling you guys about." Oh, God. What have you said and why? Yeah, I'm so glad the Neckbeard's more hateable than OP in this story. They just looked at both of us confused and said, "Oh, dude, she's real." He has a history of imaginary girlfriends, I see. This was the weirdest response I had heard to anything, ever. First of all, he was talking about me with some weird implication behind my back to people that I had never met before. Second of all, what the hell could be said for that kind of response? I sat there wide-eyed for a very long time. For the rest of the party, I sat there in stunned silence while this hairy little hobbit sat on the couch next to me, trying to reach his arm behind me. Now, I get along with guys very well, but this was the first time that I stayed in a room full of guys that was just dead silent. It got to a point where a couple of them asked if I was okay. This is getting weirder and weirder, man. I tried to play it off like I was fine, but I wasn't sure. Was I actually okay? I noticed that Short's one friend was sitting in the corner of the room, very quiet as well. He seemed to be avoiding any conversation with Shorts as well, even acted like he didn't want to be there at all. When Shorts left the room for a while, I tried to start a conversation with, anyone. It just turned out to start with Short's friend over in the corner. He was a pretty chill dude, actually. We started having some pretty decent small talk. I then asked him how he knew Shorts, and he said, "I don't know him exactly. We just kinda hang out occasionally. I know John more than I know him." Oh, well, not to be weird about this, but what did you mean when you said, "Oh, she's real"? Dude said, "Oh, he just kinda likes to exaggerate things sometimes." You mean lie? Not quite. More like just saying things to get a reaction out of people. Well, that just put more questions in my mind. Shorts came back into the room, and I went back to being silent for the rest of the party. When it was time to go, I never felt more relieved. The only good thing I got out of that party was some cake and a great bear hug from Margaret. Things start to devolve pretty quickly from 2014 onward. I will continue this story if you guys are interested. It gets pretty bad. Honestly, this part seems pretty tame, at least on the surface, but you look a little bit deeper, realize how he's manipulating the parents, lying about her to his friends, and things start to get a little bit hinkier, you know? The actual events themselves aren't that bad, but what goes on behind the scenes makes me pretty concerned. So, usually I would end the video right there, but I know curiosity is just gonna kill me. And it does seem like OP just put up part number 2, so we're gonna jump on into it, and then I'll get my full thoughts on shorts and what's going on. So let's get into it. The Long Tail of Shorts, Part 2, 2014 to 2015. The Awakening. Posted 44 minutes ago. Boy, that's hot. That's fresh. Don't burn your tongue. 2014. Shorts started to really display his neckbeardy ways at this time. He started getting really into YouTube people like Sargon of Akkad, Steven Crowder, Milo Yiannopoulos, and Ben Shapiro. Yeah, 2014 was like when the Gamergate thing started. I was actually writing gaming blogs at the time, so it was an interesting time for me as well, to say the very least. I'm sure I'll talk about that at some point in the future. This was around the time when it was a bit of a trend to own the SJWs. Looking back at it now, it was quite disgusting, but us being young and dumb kids, well, shit happened. I mean, really, it was more of like a pushback, wasn't it? Things shifted like pretty far to the left, so the Overton window kind of expanded, and we started seeing people shifting more to the right. And even years later, I think that the Overton window is still shifting. For me, shit would eventually clarify later on, and I would see all of these figureheads for the manipulative people that they were. I'm not sure if Shorts ever came to this realization, though. These were one of the few things that we would even talk about anymore, or really the only things that he would ever engage in conversation about. Amy did get very uncomfortable with these conversations, totally understandable. However, there were things that I wouldn't agree with him about, and those conversations always got strange. I'm not going to throw politics around because it's irrelevant. Whenever I would disagree with him on a topic and cite papers discussing it, he would laugh in my face as if it was the most ridiculous thing that he had ever heard. Then, whenever I did agree with him, he would always respond with, "See, that's why I like talking to you. You're not like other girls. You're smarter." Right. Only after I agree with you on something. Sure. This started to get even more advanced. He would now ask me to senior prom, again, and again I refused. When I went to get a drink, there he was, talking to my freaking parents about it as if I had never given him an answer. He was trying to get them to convince me to go. This wouldn't work, as my parents were super paranoid and hovered over everything anyways. But this back-talking to my parents would start becoming frequent. I wasn't just letting it happen anymore, and I decided to sit in on it and see what the fuck he was actually talking to them about. This motherfucker was playing himself up to be like a real Jeff Bezos type someday. How he was planning on graduating in a STEM field and making it big to buy some house on the hill. The whole buttery bullshit. I sat there slack-jawed and put my head on the table, also known as a head desk, at the amount of dreamy bullshit that he was spewing to them. My mom then asked if he was planning on having any kids in the future, to which he looked at me and said, "Oh yeah, 7. In the most matter-of-fact way. I shot daggers at him and said, "Oh yeah? Who the fuck is doing that? What bitch on this earth will do that 7 times with you?" My mom was shocked, but did not stop me. Even she was slapped by his statement. He paused for a moment when he realized his crap didn't land and said, "Well, we can adopt." I said, "No, you can adopt. We're not even dating. What is this mess that you're talking about with we? My mom tried to change the subject from this awkward moment that he had created in the room. So, what do you want to study in college? Nice segue, Mom. He said he wanted to study material science. My mom said, that's nice. Well, Blaze wants to major in computer science.
You're gonna make more money than me?
Was his response. Mom and I looked at each other in shock over that statement. Now it was Mom's turn to get irritated. What's wrong with that?
Well, I mean, nothing, but it's supposed to be a guy's job to provide.
He stammered. My mom then reminded him, you two aren't even dating, nor did you ever date, so what is your actual problem? Self-entitlement, delusions of grandeur, take your pick, neckbeard through and through, I say. These moments would become extremely common and extremely uncomfortable. For weeks after this conversation, he would try to convince me, in what I can only really describe as a condescending kindergarten teacher's voice,
hey, listen, I've been thinking about this whole career path you're thinking about, and I really think you should go for something else.
My blood boiled as I asked him, why?
Well, I just think you're gonna hate it. There's not a lot of women in it. Plus, you're good at art stuff. Why don't you go into an art field instead?
He's so intimidated by a woman making more money than he is. My wife is a computer science major. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Hilarious. The level of insecurity is just off the charts. Because despite how I look, I like eating regular meals. Hi-oh, shots at starving artists. God damn, OP pulling no punches. Plus, computer science is one of the few places where I can actually combine my art skills in technology to create something cool through code. How is that not art in its own right? I said.
Well, maybe you could do architecture instead.
He's trying to control the career path. Who are you to me? Nobody. Leave me alone. God damn. I would tighten my fist under the table until my nails almost cut into my palms and say, I'm not changing my major just because you're uncomfortable. You have nothing to do with my career. This conversation would happen repeatedly over the course of weeks. There were moments that I would literally come home crying, feeling insecure about myself because he just started mentally and emotionally wearing me down about this. Sorry I had to go through that, OP. That's pretty fucked up. I mean, honestly, this is a case where you gave the neckbeard both barrels and he didn't turn away. He just kept on coming, tried to power through, and at that point, I think the only thing left to do is just ghost him 100%. Which is kind of hard if you're going to the same church and you like going to the church, but maybe just pretend he doesn't exist, at least until the pastor comes up to you and he's like, hey, we have more problems. No, just leave me alone. Let me live my fucking life. Anyways, one day Short said, all proud
you know, I used to read in preschool.
My mom heard this and said, so? OP did too. She was reading at a 3rd grade level and writing at that age. I only remembered the reading and writing thing, not the reading level. So at first I thought she was just saying that because mom, but it actually turned out to be legit. I accidentally found some school assessment papers about it while cleaning the house and freaked out asking her what it was about. She never mentioned that before, and I always thought that reading and writing at that age was normal and expected. That was the first time that I found out that it wasn't. So Shorts look stupid, and I look stupid for completely different reasons. The point is, he would always try to do and say things like that to make me feel like less of who I was. Hey, yeah, all that's great and stuff, but let me tell you, nobody gives a fuck how smart you were in preschool. How about the here and now? Show me something. What have you accomplished since preschool, huh? That's what I'm curious about. At one point, when I had talked about how my family was financially struggling, and trying to figure out how I would even get into college, he deadass looked at me and said,
"Well, you don't look white, so it's fine."
I was very confused by that. What do you mean? How is that relevant? I asked.
"Well, you could pass as indigenous. You could mark that on your papers and not have to pay tuition."
When I say pale, I went fucking pale. That might have been one of the most disgusting things I had ever heard from him. To lie about being an oppressed ethnicity as some sick meal ticket. He then tried to pitch that to my mom, and the instant he told my Romanian and Armenian mom that
I didn't look white enough
was the moment that her face went fucking stern, and she said, "Look here, kid, she's not any different than someone like you. You might want to think carefully about how you're gonna finish that sentence." He did not finish that sentence. He went silent. I mean, she is different than someone like you, just, on the inside. She's a better person than someone like you. Did I mention at this point that I had only seen him weekly in church, at least up until this point? He got so uncomfortable to be around that I made almost no effort to hang out with him outside of that for 3 years. He started getting to me so bad that I told Amy about his trying to pressure me into a different field and all his weird comments, and she, in short, said, "Fuck him. It's your career to live with for the rest of your life. He has nothing to do with it." I mean, I did know that, but it felt good to hear someone else say it after weeks of being berated about it. She then follows that up with, "Besides, that family's just kinda weird. That's why I stopped asking them for rides to church." She never really clarified this to me until quite recently. I kinda wish that she had, though. Back then, she was from a different state, and didn't have a driver's license or a car in this state, so she would occasionally get a ride from Briefs. Well, just this year, she told me that she stopped asking him for rides because he showed up with a jacket that had a little patch of a Confederate flag on the back. We live in the Pacific Northwest. Ah, boy. Why? Why would he do that? I really wish I knew that, because holy crap, it made everything else make sense. But wait, there's more! And it only gets worse from here. 2015. At this point, I was working my ass off because I did not have a legit college savings. So I found some jobs here and there to start saving up, even if it was just a couple of grand to start. That couple of grand turned out to really save my ass in a big way later on. During this time, though, Shorts had already been accepted into a college almost 300 miles away from here. I made him a very cringy going away present, though I won't say what it was in the off chance that he runs into this. I'm already anxious as shit writing about this entire shit show. All I'll say is that it was relative to the figureheads that he followed back then. Realistically, I knew nothing about this dude, outside of this persona that he put on. And me growing up in a very conservative sphere, it didn't seem too wild at the time. Regardless, I hate myself for it, and my views have changed drastically since then. So I'm gonna assume that you did get into college? Hi-oh! Dude fucking loved the present, though, because of course he did. He was very much a Pepe Le Frog type. Hey, listen, Pepe didn't do anything wrong, okay? Anywho, he went on his way to college, and I was giddy knowing that I would be in our local university soon, as far away as possible from him. The mood in the place started to feel lighter too. I started hanging around Amy and her friends more, getting coffee and having these genuinely nice interactions with them. It also got me away from this weird manipulative mentality that I was in, and I actually got to converse with people and clarify misconceptions that I had about certain topics. It was great. About this time, I had also become part of a small online group of YouTube creators. Some of them became my best friends that I still have even now, and one of them would one day become my current boyfriend. We'll call him by his usual handle, Caden. The more Caden and I started talking and hanging out, the more I realized everything that I was missing in conversations with Shorts. someone that could actually share their interests and hobbies and listen to mine without ridiculing them, someone that actually heard me out whenever I was feeling down, someone that made me feel like my choices and my dreams mattered, and sometimes just someone to watch a movie and goof off with. He was an amazing friend to me. We both had feelings for each other, but we were both kinda awkward about approaching it. Yo, OP, hit me with that channel link in the comments. I'ma pin it. In general, though, I was in a healthier place. I even reconnected with an old childhood friend that I hadn't spoken to in years. I started trying to fully understand my own style and what my interests actually were, and my friends all helped me to realize them. When I started finally getting into the goth aesthetic, even my childhood friend was like, yeah, that makes sense. You always did have that vibe. It was really only a matter of time. I just started learning more about myself and appreciating myself again. And then he came back. He was back from college early, and he was not visiting. He was sticking around. He'd only been there for a couple of months, and he just came back, out of the blue. Whenever we asked, he would just say,
It's complicated.
When my mom asked his dad, he gave the same answer too. Well, that answer wasn't good enough. We eventually cornered him on it and asked what the hell happened. Turned out that a former high school classmate that he used to date reported to the dean that back in their freshman year of high school, he had somehow sexually assaulted her. Oh my god. Somehow I'm not completely surprised by that. And Shorts got suspended after that complaint. Our jaws fucking dropped. Sure, he would say weird shit, but whenever the subject of sexual assault came up, he almost always had a very visceral reaction against any such acts. So this was a genuine shock. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing, bro. Don't believe any of that stuff. The reaction means nothing. It's like those politicians that vote, against gay legislation, and then all of a sudden they turn out to be gay. You know what I mean? His visceral reaction is not to push away the assault that happened on the outside. It's to push away the assault that happened on the inside. The one that he committed. You know what I'm talking about? It's a little bubblegum armchair psychology, but I buy it. Him and his dad claimed that that wasn't what had happened, and that she was exaggerating the whole thing to get him out of that school and away from her. Yeah, what a coincidence. Everybody wants this guy away from them. According to them, she was supposedly calling Shorts and his dad relentlessly while he was in college. They played her up to be this crazy person that made stuff up, and as awful as that sounds, we believed them. We had no reason not to. I mean, Shorts was a fucking weirdo and a half, but deep down, I fully believed that he was incapable of anything like that, and that would be my worst mistake. Oh no, OP. Oh no. It's a bit of heavy foreshadowing there. This story's gonna get real heavy. Hopefully not in this part, though. He then played up how distraught he was over the whole thing. So, since we were still friends, if not tentative ones, I offered to play some video games or video call him if he ever needed someone. I know, it was a dumb thing to do, but at this time I still saw him as a friend, and we were only getting half of the story. His twisted half of the story. I don't know if it was me not wanting to abandon people or just stupidity. I'd just gotten in contact with a childhood friend that I felt I had abandoned, and I didn't want to feel like I was abandoning someone else. He accepted my offer, but never really made good on it. Well, that's merciful at least. About a month passed by, and during this time, he started talking to my parents a lot. Back to the same old gloating. I don't remember a lot of what was said, but something changed. They started to actually believe him. Weeks later, he dropped another bombshell.
Hey, Blaze, I wanted to ask you something,
he said. Okay, what is it?
Well, I've liked you for a long time, and I was wondering if you wanted to go out with me.
I just stood there for a moment in silence and just started letting go. Shorts, I've been talking to you for 3 years, and I know nothing about you. I don't know what you like, what your hobbies are, or even what your favorite color is. Whenever I first tried to express interest in you, you constantly pushed me away. I even offered to hang out with you and play games as a friend, and you haven't even reciprocated that. And then you just come back out of the blue after being accused of something so serious, and you expect me to just be head over heels for you and go out? He didn't respond. Whatever feelings I might have had in the past haven't been there for quite a while, and they certainly aren't there now. You won't even get to know me as a friend, so what's the point? He said,
Fair enough.
and left. Oh, he's a weird guy, isn't he? I thought that was the end of it, until I got in the car with my parents, and they said, so I hear he asked you out, and you refused. Why? I understand you're my parents, and I say this with all the love in the world because I didn't fucking want to. None of your business. Shorts had gone again behind my back, only this time he had laid the groundwork with some severe manipulation. I then had to spend the next several hours explaining to them why I didn't want to go. Hours became days, and days became weeks, and eventually I caved and said, I'll only go out with him if he can at least hang out with me in a call and get to know me as a friend first. They finally left me alone. You have to understand, the damage that was now caused with my family had now started to take a mental and emotional toll on me. I was breaking down and making decisions under duress just to avoid conflict at home. That's the best start to any relationship, isn't it? Just manipulate her family and bludgeon her into submission. God damn it. We started hanging in calls. It started with video games. These were the only video calls that weren't weird. They were pretty mild. But then when we got bored with games, he started showing me videos of, you guessed it, anti-SJW cringe again. I swear he would always revert back to this. He knew I liked anime, but I never mentioned which ones I liked, so he took it upon himself to just pick one. Even when trying to appeal to my interests, it somehow reverted back to him and his choices. Well, he chose Full Metal Alchemist. Now, for someone that has never experienced anime before in their life, Full Metal Alchemist is not something that you would start someone on. The moment he saw Edward's leg getting ripped off in episode 1, he was done. So then conversations and videos kept turning back to anti-SJW stuff. Hanging out with Shorts was just an emotionally and mentally exhausting chore. So I would hang out with Caden afterwards to relax and calm down. If I had one saving grace in all of this, it was Caden. It was a circle that never ended, and this went on for the rest of the year in video calls with Shorts. But just you wait. It gets so much worse. But we're gonna have to wait for that post at another time. My God, what a beefy episode. I just couldn't get enough of this. The pace is a little slower. It does plod along, but I'd be lying if I said that that didn't add to, like, the grinding, mentally exhausting nature of the beard himself. You know what I mean? We just have to go over these same points over and over, and oh my God, I want to fucking choke myself. And I can only imagine how OP feels, especially since this dude has now, like, infiltrated her home, got the parents on his side, which should never fucking happen. Are you kidding me? It sounds like you don't even want to be this guy's friend, so the fact that you're, like, basically forced into video calls to try and be his friend, it's so weird. And this is going on for years. Years on end. It is completely outside of my frame of reference. My parents have always been pretty cool. They were under the crazy belief that I knew what was best for me, which wasn't always completely true, but I did make my own decisions and had to stick with them, you know? You don't want to, like, end up resenting your parents because they made all of your decisions for you, which it seems kind of like is what happened with OP. She doesn't really talk her parents up at all. She talks about her crappy childhood and whatnot, so while the parents do go to bat for her at certain points, at the end of the day, yeah, they're pushing her into a relationship she doesn't want to be in, which is just madness. So I hope that we'll get more shorts, long stories about shorts eventually. And yeah, I really hope that it doesn't go the way that I think that it's going to go. Ugh, my God, it's going to be a heavy story. I am relatively sure about that, but I do hope that you guys enjoyed the first couple of parts. If you did, let me know how you feel. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Check out them links in the description. Yes, indeed, all kinds of plugs. Also, my social medias, Twitter, Discord, Facebook, if you're trying to get at me. Also, my gorgeous, wonderful, beautiful, generous patrons. I like to thank them as I do every video, so thank you very much. Calvicus, Fatboy Shrimp, Robert Waits, TSM Kirby, Teddy the Police, USMC 8932, Aaron W, Twisted Child, Delicious Jelly Donut, Candy Sora, Fire Drake, Livison, Mr. Anime Manga Fan, Silent Revolver, Zero MMX, Magdalene Marshall Thornrose, Little Lone Wolf, Vanilla Mel, Rouse Tower, Babsy Coon, Caustic Fox, Aaron Lennox, Fisher Diggy, Hype Hat Japan, OG James Cook, JM Coon, Jerry, John Hero, KK, Miss Monday, Melgar the Destroyer, Mirthful Baker, Mr. J, my boy Nat One Nick, Lady Nix, Origami Steve, Katykins Elizabeth, Sidestep, Cider Drinker, Serrated Ash, Siegfried, Synaptic Boomstick, Brilliant Tamago, Tato Ferret, 10-Ton Monster, Dead, Duck and Bug, Fusky, Treeberg, Wilmax, Redwin, Goose S. Honk, Leon Embers, Naga Viper, John Indoors, a Normal Joe, A-Roxers, Cake Jerry, that's a different Jerry, KJW, Kajow, Crafty Kitty Cat, Mark 211, maybe next time, Milkfed Gimp, Miss Duchess, Organic Cam, Princess Rosalie, Ghosty, Ellie, the Last Shinobi, and the Maestro himself, Azuka Cervantes. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel in the way that you do. I could not be more appreciative of it. I do hope some other people will consider signing up, but if you can't do it right now, don't sweat it too hard, friends. I mostly just appreciate you coming on through, hanging out with me, spending part of your day over here, and I hope that you come on back and do the same thing again tomorrow. In order to do so, you need to keep yourself safe out there, wash your hands, but also take some time out and do something that you personally enjoy today. Maybe watching some more ReddX videos, if you want. Always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, and you definitely deserve it. I will see you in the next one. And until then, friends, bye-bye.